Afternoon, today is December the 10th. Good afternoon, today is December the 10th, 2024, and you're at the City of Opa-locka CRA meeting. Madam Clerk, will you call the meeting to order? Roll call, please.
Board Member Irvin. Board Member Kelly.
Present.
Board Member Taylor.
Here.
Vice Chair Williams.
Present.
Board Chair Russell.
Present. We're gonna stand and we're gonna ask Board Member Kelly if you would give us a word of prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all of many blessings. We thank you, God, as we come together. Give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Do those things that are pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, do we have any add-ons?
No.
Okay, well, we're gonna move to the approval of the minutes for the last meeting of November the 12th.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor,
Second.
second by Board Member Kelly. Any corrections? If not, roll call, please.
Board Member Kelly.
Yes.
Board Member Taylor.
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams.
Yes.
Board Chair Russell.
Yes.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay, we're gonna move to the next item, which is public comments. I don't have a gavel, so I'm gonna knock right on the door here. Public comments are open.
So this word by the commission meeting, I need to state my address and everything.
Yes, sir.
Felton Brown, 1151 Jan Avenue, Opa-locka. I just wanted to say thank you all for the butterfly garden, man. I recently was over there over the weekend and I had some alone time, man. I needed some mind space. I needed to get out of my home and I didn't have to leave my neighborhood, right? I went to the butterfly garden and I sat there for like 2 hours and I meditated and I prayed and I just reflected on life and our community and the direction we're going. And I enjoyed myself there alone. So thank you for that butterfly garden. Appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing, Mr. Brown. And
Madam Chair,
yes, sir.
Mr. Brown, just so you know, the butterfly garden, Mr. Waltire, we're probably only 50% complete?
Yeah,
We're only 50% complete with it, so it's not done yet. There's more improvements slated to come in the next week, week to 2 weeks, and we plan on having everything done by January to have a January grand opening of the Butterfly Rose Titus Prayer Garden.
Well, job well done. And I just love the lights when I pass by. The lights are really nice. No other public comments. Public comments are closed. We're at right on time. We're at the resolution.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam, while we're waiting on Board Member Irvin,
Yes, sir.
in the same vein that Mr. Brown mentioned about the butterfly, I know it's still in progress. Is there any way, I know we normally have these ribbon cuttings 12 o'clock in the day. Is there any way to have it a little later as you're planning out? I guess you'd work with the chair. But, you know, a lot of times, and I'm saying that even because I hear with the city, we do a lot of our ribbon cuttings and reopenings and whatever, you know, in the middle of the day. And that's okay, I guess, for businesses sometimes. But since this one is unique for the community, is it possible to schedule it a little later when you get to that point, or if that's something my colleagues, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'd like to try to have it a little later than, you know, that 11, 12 o'clock where really folks can't come to and enjoy it. So we can schedule it maybe I mean, I know time, time gets dark pretty soon, but just something to consider as you're working towards, getting to that end for a reopening, grand opening. I'll defer to the chair. I just wanted to put that out there, something to think about when we get to that point in January, whenever that occurs.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Board Member Williams.
I'd like to second that idea. I work outside of the city, and so when we hold different types of events like that in the middle of the day, it sometimes can be difficult for me. I do have a flexible schedule, so I, as much as possible, try to attend as many events as possible, but sometimes it is just not feasible for me to do so. So the later we can push them would ensure that I can attend more than not.
Thank you for those comments, and I've heard those comments from a lot of the citizens in the community as well, because when we have things in the daytime, they are not able to attend as well. And I know the Butterfly Garden is something that a lot of people would like to attend. So if we can work around a little bit later in the afternoon, even as much as 5 o'clock. Board Member Kemp.
I only said that because it gets dark, so I don't know how big the program will be, or how long. I know, like you said, it's lighting over there, so, yeah, if you go 4:35, and the program not long, we still will be out there in the dark. That's what I just don't want to see that 12 o'clock when nobody get to 11 o'clock, especially for that, because that's really community, geared, so I guess you can work with the, director and y'all can come up with that, but the later the better.
And that's something that the entire community can enjoy.
Right.
A lot of the things that happen in the CRA is just confined to the CRA area, but that's something that the whole community can enjoy. So Mr. Director, we can work along with former Commissioner Titus to try to work that out.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we can move.
I forgot to put one thing on the record. If when you ask any addition, I just remembered I need to talk about the Chinese restaurant.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I make the recommendation that we move resolutions to the end of the agenda? That way I can stick around for the discussion items, and I'll just recuse myself from voting on the resolution since I have a conflict there.
You're not gonna stay for the food?
I'll just step outside. I'll be back for the food.
Well, I think Board Member Kelly has to leave, so if we can do
Okay.
the resolution
Okay.
now, because he may have to leave a little
Okay.
bit early. So, Mr. Attorney, if we can move into the resolutions first.
Certainly, Madam Chair. We only have one resolution on the agenda today. It's a resolution of the Board of the Opa-locka
Madam
redevelopment.
Chair, I think that's what, if I can, I think that's what Vice Chair was saying. She has to recuse, so
Oh, yes.
she didn't want to be here when you started, so that's why she said.
Thank you.
that.
I'll officially recuse myself.
Yeah. Don't go far.
Won't be no chicken when you come back.
And the clerk would usually say this at this point, that the record reflect that the vice chairwoman has exited the building.
Well, okay, at this point, let the record reflect that the Vice Chair Williams had recused herself.
Thank you
Is
so
that
much.
revealed?
Yes, a resolution by the board authorizing the executive director to enter into a license agreement under the commercial rehab program for the property located at 490 Alabama Avenue, and to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the program for your consideration.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor,
Second,
second by Board Member Kelly. Discussion? Mr. Director, you want to give us, I know we talked about it at the last meeting.
Yeah, this is just a part of our commercial rehab program. This is the grant for the train station that is owned by 10 North. There's a budget in the back of all the things that they're gonna be doing at the train station. Some of it is a match. One of it is the match. 10 North is matching the $80,000 cost for a pavilion. The hookup we're gonna do so that they can start to have events there, more events there. and make it be a permanent thing, and an ongoing thing. But on page 14 of 17, you'll see the breakdown of the improvements that will take place. And I don't know if it's anybody from 10 North is here. Nope. They all came a couple weeks ago, but they're not here today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were here that night. Yeah, I forgot about it.
Okay, any comments from the board members? Hearing none. Roll call, Madam Clerk, please.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Chair Russell,
Yes,
motion passed 4-0.
and I don't know whether we said it when Board Member Irvin came in, but let the record reflect that she had come to the dais. Okay, all righty, Mr. Director.
Yes, ma'am.
You can tell us, you can come back in now.
She's
Oh.
getting her.
Oh, she's okay. It was defeated by one vote.
Okay, Mr. Director.
So on the Chinese restaurant that most of you, some of you called me about that, the fence is down. We decided that it's time to move forward with something there. At least, at the very least, fixing up the outside, since we haven't made the decision of what's going to happen on the inside, and that process may take a little longer. But we think we should do something on the outside to make the block look straight. So we started by taking down the fence. The parking lot was complete. I think the painting's going to be done probably this week. If the permits get approved, painting will get done this week, and you'll have a new shiny, but we're going to change the sign on top. And on the outside, you'll have a new bright, shiny building, and a new parking lot. And we're going to do some landscaping as well, until we decide what will go on the inside of the building. So that you know what's going on the inside of the building. When we took possession of the building, it was a mess. I mean, it cost $7,000 to clean the place out, and so it's cleaned out, and it's completely stripped. It's bare bones. There's nothing in there. It's completely stripped. So it's like a blank space waiting for somebody to come in. Just so you know that that's what's on the inside, because I don't think any of you, besides the chairwoman, has taken a tour. So we have the idea, and I'd like to run this by you. I had a great meeting with the interim city manager this afternoon, and I ran it by her, and I think we should run it by you as well. We would like to activate that spot. As you see across the street, the windows finally went in at the liquor store. The signs are here. The signs are actually inside the liquor store. The parking lot's going to be done. The paint's going to be done in the next 2 weeks. That'll be done. So you're going to have a new block over there. And then we're going to get the tire shop too. So what I'm thinking, and again, this is my thought, until we get something done on the inside, which is going to take a while, that we activate the outside on the weekend at least, and have rotating vendors do some type of, maybe one day you'll have a barbecue guy on the outside. People park, they pull up, they park. There's a little space in the back area on the side where you can have seating. Maybe one weekend it's an ice cream stand. Maybe one weekend it's a pop-up stations. Yeah, different pop-up stations, so that we're activating the site instead of the site just sitting there until we make a decision about who's going to take it, because that's going to be a long process. So that's our thought. So before I move ahead, because I was about to move ahead without without telling you, I think I should tell you that that's our goal to do within the next. If we could do it this week, we would do it this week, but we can't do it this week because we need to get the permits and all those things settled with the city for the vendor license. But that's the idea, that the CRA paint the outside. It's gonna look nice. Jackson Soul Food's gonna get their parking lot done. Miss Raynette's here. They're doing their project on their own, but they're getting theirs done, paint. So that whole strip on 27th Avenue is gonna look nice in the next month or two. And I just think that instead of having our thing sit there with the fence and the banner that's fading, that we just strip it off, stripe the parking lot, which we did, paint the place, and activate the outside. And I want your thoughts on that.
Madam Chair.
You just had to hurry.
Yeah.
I'll take next. Go ahead.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
yes.
Through the chair to the manager, I absolutely love the idea. And it's not a far-fetched idea, but and it's not far-fetched for CRAs to have food halls. So is that something that we can just adopt an outside food hall temporarily and not just have rotating vendors, but those vendors stationary? Because that place can hold,
I like the
hold-
rotating, but for the
they can hold
weekend,
multiple, I'm saying the place can hold multiple vendors, outside vendors.
Mm,
you
you
know,
got a parking
competition.
issue. You got to use the crunch. So I think it should be only one at a time.
Maybe
Maybe
two
two or
at a
three.
time.
But for the weekend,
If
like,
Mr. Ball calls it, if Mr. Ball signs, we could take his property and create parking, but we haven't done that deal yet.
Okay.
But right now, I think my recommendation would be just one at a time. And I also want to make sure that we're not, because you also have this with cities also getting complaints for their existing business owners, like Miss Raynette's tenant, Miami Chicken and Fish. Like, we
Okay.
don't want, and Jackson Soul Food, for example. So we don't want anything that's going to go and compete with the people that are paying our business license and all that stuff. That's why I'm thinking barbecue. I don't know if she serves barbecue or not, but it's not a barbecue restaurant. So if somebody wants barbecue, they want to come. If somebody wants ice cream, they can come and get ice cream. If somebody wants, it has to be unique. Pizza man. Put a pizza place there for a weekend or something. And it's not every day, because what we don't want to do is have competition with our existing restaurateurs.
No, I agree. I wasn't saying every day. I'm with you on the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just saying multiple.
So yeah, and so I guess my point is we will be selective.
On what
I'm
we
not
got.
gonna have a
Okay.
soul food pop-up truck come and compete
With Jackson.
with Jackson's. So we gotta be selective in who we invited.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Board Member Irvin.
thank you. So I love the idea. I was just thinking instead of just a Friday or Saturday night, whoever is that pop-up vendor, that they will have that weekend,
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And some of them may not come until like after the evening when those businesses are closed.
Yeah.
So if they are soul food, but they're not coming till 4 o'clock, it shouldn't be a big deal. But I do like the idea. I love the idea, actually.
Excuse me, Board Member Kelly, I think I saw you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I like the idea, but I do like, for right now, just one vendor, because that parking and it's still 27th Avenue would be kind of tight. If you do get the Ball appliance where you can expand the parking, then I like the mayor's suggestion, one or two. I guess the question I really have is how you're going to, or I guess you're working to, how you would develop who you select in terms of which vendor you're gonna, because some people like the beginning of the month, because, checks come in, everybody get paid. Some people like I'm just keeping it real. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Or some people, I don't be on the first because the checks don't roll to the third. So, I'm just saying that because and then some businesses, because of what they do, like Board Member Irvin is saying, you're not starting till 4. So I know you mentioned Jackson and some others, but even if it was a soul food, I'm trying to think right now, even in that corridor, I don't think you have a quote unquote soul food place that's there after 4. So that even wouldn't be a problem as long as they know Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I like the idea for the weekend where people would know. And like I said, it's a donut, lemonade, whatever it is, because I'm quite sure people will reach out based on what they feel they can say. I know Jackson's one time had a donut place that was in their parking lot that, for a while it seemed to be doing pretty good. I don't know what happened. So I like that idea. Just want to make sure that it's rotated and it's rotated fairly or as best the way we can do it. And yeah, that's the only thing I want to make sure of. But I think you could, whether soul food, whatever, like you say, you don't want to compete. But we're talking 4 o'clock in the evening till whatever, 9 or whatever. And most of our businesses that do restaurants outside of your McDonald's, whatever, they're not open most of the time after 4, which is really a challenge. So I think people would welcome it. And I like the idea. And I know space is tight, you know, sometimes you even have a little chair and tables out there with a little tent for people that might want to just for a minute. And that might be something, if you do get the ball property, we can look at. But I definitely like the idea. You said, I know you're waiting on permits. So it's your idea or the challenge, if the commission, you know, the board here agrees with it, to move forward, and you will come back with a list of, or you just gonna, how would that work? That's maybe to you and the attorney. So you have these agreements, you got liability, you got, you know, nobody getting choked on a chicken bone and want to sue us. So how would that work? That would be under some kind of agreement that you'd have with that vendor?
Yes, so they have to get a vendor's permit with the city. And then we would need to have a legal agreement with them to be a tenant. And we'll work with the attorneys to come up with that. They would need the proper licenses, of course, insurances. And we will work with the attorney to get some type of temporary lease agreement done with the vendor.
Okay, and I would probably believe, because that's some kind of a contract agreement, right? So that would need to come back to the board for it to be official. So although we're trying to rush it, I think you're still looking probably at least at the beginning of the year to make that happen. So but I like the idea, but make sure it comes back to the board and Madam Chair, with the agreement signed from the attorney, et cetera. So that would work.
Madam
Madam-
Chair.
Well,
We did the eye contact thing, so she know I wanted to be next and then the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Really quick, mine is really quick. I know sometimes when we go to places as caterers, we have to not only have insurance, but we have to have that city or that business listed on the contract as we're insured, but they are like the beneficiary of it for that event.
Yes,
So we need
like
to,
as an additional insured, yes.
yeah,
You
to
have to
make
get a policy for that
yeah.
time.
And I've never been asked for less than $1 million
Yes.
in
most-
insurance.
That's normal. That's normal, is $1 million. Miss, we would like the record to reflect that our new board member, Commissioner Board Member Santiago is in the building. Thank
you,
you
sir.
so much for coming.
Welcome.
You thought it was a Christmas party, but you could have come to the party too.
The party ain't even started yet, so he early.
But we're
I'm
glad-
ready for the party, yes.
But we're glad to have you. We're in the middle of discussing the Chinese restaurant and what the director is thinking about doing there on the weekends.
On a temporary basis until we figure out what we're gonna do on a permanent basis.
Yeah. Because you know, I heard, I think it was board member, I'm gonna come to you, board member Williams. I think it was board member Irvin say about, or maybe Taylor, about having several businesses like a little food court. Like a little food court, because in some places where you have such a diverse community, sometimes that works out good as a food court. Because, you know, I might like Jamaican food, somebody else might like Spanish food. You know, everybody wants coffee con leche and some toast. So when we look at the Chinese restaurant, Mr. Director, can we please not just look at it from one eye lens? Let's look at it from maybe a type of food court scheme as well. Also, I'm glad to hear that everyone that's going to be participating in this is going to get a vendor's license from the city. They have to be approved with the vendor's license. They have to come with their insurance, whatever the attorney think is feasible, to come up with that insurance as well. And then they have to make sure that they clean the area once they leave. Those are my concerns, the insurance, the cleaning, and that they are a vendor with the city.
Yep.
That the city is getting compensated for them being there.
So I'll make, sorry.
I'm sorry, Madam Rosso and Mr. Director. Can you give me a little bit and information what's going on with that Chinese restaurant again?
I'm gonna,
What are we planning to do there?
Okay, I'll
Please.
let the director, he's gonna explain to what he's doing in the interim.
yeah, and this is only, and as I told the board, the restaurant, we purchased it, I think we took control of it in February of this year. We put a fence around it, we put a wrap around it, and then nothing has happened because we've been waiting on something to happen, either to do an RFP, which we decided not to do in the beginning, and try to do a direct negotiation with a restaurateur to come in. That didn't work out because even the people that we interviewed that I talked to, I wasn't comfortable with bringing anything to this level because those deals, we were footing the bill on most of the thing that whatever would happen there. And so then we reversed and said, well, let's go through the RFP process, which we haven't formally voted on to do, but that's what we've decided to do. It's to go through the RFP process, but we haven't voted on it. That's what I've been told during our discussions here. But I do want to point out, and again, I'm glad we're talking about this because I do need some guidance. Because I have met with a group that can come in and take over. They have the resources, I believe, to come in and take over the whole restaurant without us putting anything in it. Like they would come in, they would do it all. So I just need to know. And so to answer your question, Commissioner Santiago, before any of that happens, our goal here is to make the place look better and create activity. So before we get to that long-term solution, we're trying to think of a short-term solution just to have weekend events on the land until we figure out what goes there permanently. And that's the discussion that we're having now. But since we're having that discussion, I will tell you that I have met with a new vendor last week, that is willing to pay for all the renovations and pay a market rate rent, unlike the people that we were talking to before that wanted us to foot the bill for the build out and all that stuff. So I don't know how you want me to handle those requests. I told them what the process was. If they want to submit a proposal, an unsolicited proposal, they're more than welcome to submit an unsolicited proposal. It's well within their right. That means that nobody asked them to submit it, but they're going to submit it, and then we're going to review it. Or you all direct me, but you need to direct me, correct, attorney? You need to direct me to send out an RFP for the restaurant. One of those two things need to happen. We need to be open for an individual or an existing restaurateur or somebody to come in and spend their money to fix it up and pay us a market rate rent. Or we get somebody, Mr. Brian Dennis was here a couple months ago, talking about people in Opa-locka that need an opportunity to have a space as well. Or if we're going to subsidize someone to go in because they're from the neighborhood and we want to help somebody out in the neighborhood, so then we subsidize someone going in there. Or we send out an RFP and we figure out who's the best one to choose.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Board Member Williams, then I'm gonna come back to you.
So I'm going to answer, I've got a few, but I want to make sure I answer that last question. So first, I just want to express my support for the short-term recommendation. And I would share for this team for consideration. So one, thinking about having a rotating schedule so that there is some level of consistency. So folks in community know when to expect. So this vendor will be here every second Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I would just recommend that we consider having some type of consistency so folks know what to expect. Yes.
I'm going to interrupt you on that because I'm glad that we talk about this stuff because you realize where your faults may be. I'm actually thinking that we don't do it week by week, because you don't allow the vendor to get enough traction to create a group. So we may even think about, and I just had to start month by month, so that you give them the opportunity to get traction with customers.
I think that's great because part of it is that they're not always going to have the natural traffic. And so you need to give them an opportunity to build the traffic, whether it's because you're giving them an extended period of time or there's a regular schedule. So I love that idea as well. And then I believe Board Member Kelly made this recommendation, but I want to double click on it, that because this is in a visible and high traffic area, I would highly recommend, if we can, making sure that there's some picnic tables or something out there. So it's not just the vendors and their food trucks, but there's actually tables and people can sit down. And I think, folks will see it and hopefully come and want to sit down and support those businesses there. My one thing is just making sure that we can obviously secure those tables and chairs, and we don't have an issue there. So thank you for bringing up what happens in the long term. It is my recommendation that we put an RFP out and that we have the opportunity to see bids. We are, as a CRA, on some level mission driven. And so I want to make sure that we are not just seeing, entertaining the proposal where they have the money. I would love to see us entertain proposals, perhaps, that don't have the money, but I want to make sure that we are weighing a lot of different options before we just consider the first one on the table. So I would like to make a recommendation that we go out and put this space out for RFP so that we can get proposals and weigh them as a board.
Madam Chair?
Board Member Kelly, and then Board
Yeah,
Member-
thank you, because I'm going to have to leave, so you have a quorum. That's good. I want to echo the same things. I want to suggest that we do rotate it in terms of a whole month or whatever, because it does take some time for traction on the, but I want to really save more than that because we own it. And if we're going to have a short-term solution, which I think this is, rotating it with the diversity that the chair is mentioning, having the insurance and all that the Commissioner Irvin mentioned, works for me. I'm not in a hurry to put a permanent company out there unless I real feel comfortable with it. And I'm saying that because you probably will get folks got money can put out, but is that necessarily what we want to do at this point? I don't know. I mean, it may turn out with the rotating food truck and then you get Ball Appliance property, that may work better for us for what we're trying to accomplish at this moment. I'm definitely in favor of the RFP because that gives more transparency. It also allows us to look at all of the options. So even though folks may be coming at this point with even unsolicited proposals, I would prefer to my colleagues as well to do the RFP. Take the time, craft it, get all of our suggestions, what we'd like to see in it, put it out. There's no rush because we've got the food truck, the space is happening, and we can also see how that's going to work. It may turn out once you get one truck out there, you can get two. I'm not saying you can, but you may be able to get two, but you definitely will get one. Have it out there for a month, get some traction. As Vice Chair said, people know I'm going to be out there the first month. Somebody's going to be out there the second month because they're going to be advertising too. As a vendor, they'll be advertising, hey, I'm going to be in Opa-locka on 27, because a lot of them do that. I recommend that. That's my recommendation. I don't like the just unsolicited or whatever. It may turn out to be the best thing because they got the upfront money, but I don't think we're in a rush to have that happen at this point. It's from my perspective. So that's my recommendation, Madam Chair. Of course, I got to leave, but you got court. So
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Board Member Kelly. Board Member Santiago, you wanted to,
Yes, I'd like to add something. Okay, it sounds like a very good idea, or we are discussing here. But I have a question for Mr. Worker, the director of CRA. This is planned for the beautify of the city.
and to bring economic
To bring,
development.
yes,
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, good. And when the plan that we have with these trucks vendors, this is gonna be temporary?
Yes.
Temporary, okay.
Yes,
Another question, that we have enough space there for trucks,
We were only thinking one at a time.
only one at a time.
Yeah.
And that's creating a good revenue for the CRA, only one truck at the time.
Well, I think that the space is limited, so
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's very limited there, especially with the traffic in 27 in Alibaba.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the point that we have to look at, for avoid any situation there
Yes,
in the future. Yes, I'm also feel good with the RP, okay, in the future to see if we can get a better proportion, okay, for any company. That's good. But one of the main reason that we are here when the with with the CRA is because CRA helping to make the city look better, okay, to try to bring future businesses and developments. And that's one of the goals that we have, all the commissioners. Yeah, I think there is a good idea, but let's check everything, everything step by step, like the license that they need.
yes.
There's gonna be a temporary license, insurance, like Commissioner Irving say, that everybody have, because we don't want anything responsibility,
Yes,
the city, for anything happen there.
yes.
Please. Okay.
Thank you, Board Member Santiago. And one recommendation that I would like for us as a board to really consider, Mr. Director and board members, is that we have vendors in the community that have been here for long periods of time. And maybe that, they may be struggling in business, and this might be an opportunity for us to help build those existing businesses that we have in the city as well. Because some people, they have the money, that don't mean that they have the best interests of the city. So, and of the CRA. So we're trying to not only just beautify, but we're trying to bring economic development as well with our residents and with our businesses, to build those businesses that we have. So I like the idea. I love the rotating. I don't know whether I quite get the whole month. I don't know whether I'm quite with that one vendor for a whole month. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. I'll think about it some more. But I think it's a great idea. I think it will bring some traction. And I think once you Board Member Irvin said people have been calling her. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, your picture down." I said, "What picture?" They said, "At the Chinese restaurant." So I rode by there and I saw that I thought someone had just took the sign down. But I saw that the parking lot had been paved, and that did wonders. I saw the windows for the liquor store. I know we're talking about the Chinese restaurant, but at the liquor store, are you gonna have barriers? Because it's so close to the road right there. Are you
Well,
gonna?
they exist there right now.
Yes.
And so I think the idea is to straighten them up and paint them and try to keep them, because they actually they cost a lot of money to replace. So the idea, I think, is to straighten them and then paint them.
Okay.
And since we're talking about this, and I don't want to I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say this. We probably could be doing most of the stuff that we weren't doing if we didn't have people cooperating with us. Okay. And that man sitting right there, Mr. Bertrand Walter, I didn't know him before I came here to Opa-locka. I saw him on the TV there when I was watching YouTube. And that's the first time I'd ever laid my eyes on him. But we've been having trouble with getting contractors to come here to Opa-locka to work, because people don't think they're going to get paid. It takes checks too long. It takes whatever. And so it's hard to find contractors to work with. And that's why I have you approve every time we do a project. I have you approve a contractor or a consultant. But I want you to know that I want to put it on the record. This man helps us out a lot, the Opa-locka CRA, because he fronts his own money. That parking lot that was done, he fronted that money. The paint that's going to be done, he's fronting the money to make this thing happen quickly. So I just want to put it, and most contractors won't do that. They want you to pay them first or give them a deposit first. So the only reason why this is being able to happen quickly is because these are his projects that you've all approved, and he's fronting the money quickly to get it done, and then we're reimbursing him plus his costs plus his labor. So I just want to put that on the record. I don't want to take credit for it, because if they're waiting on us to give them a check, y'all will still be looking at that fence
I know.
and in that parking lot. So I just want to put that on the record.
Madam
Well,
Chair. if I
yes,
may.
go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's an Opa-locka, and
Yeah,
that's why.
and
he's so
that's what I mean when I say businesses that are in the community, people that have traction in the community.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, and I'm not talking about chump change.
We know it's costly. So we thank you. We thank you. And from the time that he came to this board, this CRA board, he has shown us that he definitely is an Opa-lockian. And he works, I see him up and down all day. You know, I pass by the Chinese restaurant, I see him out there. The liquor store, he's out there. So we really appreciate what you do for the community. And it's because you love this community where you grew up. You grew up in this community. So thank you so much. And not only Mr. Bertram, you're talking about him right now, but we have a lot of businesses like that. That's why I'm saying when we look at the Chinese restaurant, we could probably look at some type of food court that we could help some of these businesses that are not so large, that are small businesses that are struggling, that they could do a food court type establishment, and you could get 3 or 4 vendors in there, and you know, and it might work like that. But the RFP going out, you know, they can come together. 2, 3 vendors can come together and put together something. So we appreciate that, Mr. Director. And we understand the problems that you've been having with getting people paid. And, you know, I asked like, what's going on? You said, well, the people won't do it because we won't pay them. You know, they want to be paid up front. So we know that it's a hard task sometimes. So we appreciate the efforts and the work that you put into getting this done, and all of them.
And
Go ahead.
And I would also like to put on the record that we had our first meeting with the interim manager today. Speaking of check writing, and we had a list of, I think, 12 or 13 agenda items on our agenda with the interim manager. It was a very pleasant, and I was more than pleased with the meeting.
Very good.
And I think that the check situation is going to get worked out soon. She was sensitive to that. Because they're having the same problems we're having, obviously. So I just want to put that on the record as well, that we had a great conversation. And I think moving forward, our relationship with the management team here will be good.
Wonderful. We look forward to that, Board Member Santiago.
Thank you, Madam Rosso. Question, why we take so long to pay the vendors?
That's not a question for me.
That's not a question. That's the city. That's on the city side. You
That's
gotta
at the
ask-
city side, okay,
Yeah,
that's what I
tomorrow
wanna know,
night.
it's
That's-
nothing,
That's
it's,
tomorrow night.
okay. Okay, no, and that's it's not a weird question, but it's something that I wanna learn,
Yeah.
because
Well,
what I know from now is the CRA department is totally separated for the city.
yes, we are separated, but the
But the
city.
Yeah.
city handles our
city
finances.
handles our finances.
For the
so
finances
they
funded
write
by
the
the city.
checks.
Okay,
So-
okay,
Tomorrow night, you could get that answer.
no, good, good. That's something that I have to know.
Not tonight.
Okay,
Okay, Mr. Director, are we clear with the Chinese restaurant? Everybody's clear with the Chinese restaurant?
If I may really quickly say,
Yes.
I received so many phone calls about the Chinese restaurant. Who did you all lease it to? It never came before the board. You all can't be doing that to the people. I don't know. I'll go to CRA meeting and find out. I don't know that anybody is leasing it. I don't know. Well, the fence is down and everything is, I'll find out at meeting. So when you said, I need to talk to you all about the Chinese restaurant. I was like, thank God, because if one more person called me about the Chinese restaurant, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
And I should also be straight up and honest with you. Also, you know, and it's an embarrassment because we're supposed to be the agency that's supposed to clear Sun and Blight, and we've owned this building since February, and all we did was put a Band-Aid on the problem by putting a fence around it and covering it up. That's not fixing it.
Mm.
And so what brought me in was, you know, when we hired our code enforcement officer, the first thing that the code enforcement team said was, "What about that building that you guys own?" Which is true. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. And we should be setting the example. And that's why immediately after they said that, we went out and we took the fence down, we paved the parking lot, we had the water turned on, the city helped us turn on the water. Now we're gonna pressure wash, now we're gonna paint, and we're gonna make it look good because code enforcement was right. If it's our building, it shouldn't look that way. So at the very least, no matter what's happening on the inside, we need to make the outside look decent.
Very good.
Agreed.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much.
Okay, we want to move on to the next discussion.
I would actually like to move those discussion items, because we have a crowd here and it's getting late. We spent a lot of time on this. I would like to move those items to the January meeting.
Yes.
And I would like to ask we invited our grant recipients here tonight at your request. So if any of them that would like to come up and talk to you about their project for their building, I think we should offer them that opportunity. But I'm
Yes.
going to force one of them to do that. Because it's the the last remaining hope, the last one that's like on the. We're trying to bring them in, and I know it's on me to do that, but I want to bring Akeem up, because I'm excited about his project probably the most. Akeem, come up.
Yes.
I don't know if you know, right? So you have the Jackson Soul Food, and then north of Jackson Soul Food, there's a